Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the KZ AS16PRO. This is their latest IM. I've had it for about maybe close to 2 weeks now, and I'm actually not one of the first to review it. A number of other people have already reviewed it, and I guess I'm late because I just wanted to make sure that what I said was what I consider to be, well, the truth, at least in my eyes, and not jump into any conclusions, or not perhaps overhype it or over, I don't know. I just wanted to be, as I always try to be, as sincere and as honest as possible. Anyway, this is the box that it comes with. Again, nothing special. We already know what KZ is about in terms of their packaging. At least this is the, let's say, the slightly better packaging that they use on their better models, the ZAS, the CA16PRO, the AS16. Anyway, you open it up, IM's kind of over there. It's got a little plaque that says the name of the IM. You can see KZ AS16PRO. Underneath, once you lift this, okay, you have tips, cable. Again, nothing too special, nothing too out of the ordinary for KZ. This is an IM, costs around $60 depending on the vendor. So I mean, it is what it is. That's it, period. As for the IMs themselves, well, a reasonably large shell. I don't really have any complaints with regards to fit in my ears. However, having said that, I did have to play around with the tips a bit, and this to obtain the best sound possible. These tips I've got here are BGVP tips. So again, nothing special in terms of being fancy tips, spin fits, or anything of the sort. It's just standard BGVP tips, excuse me, that actually come with the Autumn, and you can buy them. I'll actually link the link for it for those of you that might be interested. Anyway, as I was saying, fit is fine, although a little bit on the large side. It's well built, kind of a plastic resin shell. Inside we have 8 BAs. Again, they're using standard stuff, nothing too out of the ordinary. We're talking about 22955s, 29689, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Actually, give me 1 second, and I'll tell you all of the BAs that are being used in there, so that I don't induce anybody in any sort of error or mistake. That's not what I'm here for. Where is this? I had this just a second ago. There we go. Okay, there. Alright, so they are using, as I said, 22955, 2 of them. They're using 29689 for the mids, 2 of them, and then they're using 31736, 4 of them. Nothing, let's say, out of the ordinary. Okay. Actually, the 31736 is an IM that even AudioSense, it's a BA that even AudioSense uses in some of their models, just for the sake of giving you a better idea of what BAs they are. So overall, it's decent quality, standard type BAs being used. It's got that usual kind of internal structure that supports all of the IEMs. Like I said, well built, well put together, and yeah. Anyway, before I carry on talking about the AS16PRO, I just wanted to make clear 1 or 2 aspects. First of all, I try in all of my reviews to be as honest and as sincere as possible. I've got nothing to gain. I buy all my AMs. I get. Nobody gives me anything. I'm not, endorsed by any company or anything. I buy all of my AMs. I speak my mind with regards to them. If that offends the company, well, I try not to be disrespectful, and I don't think I am ever disrespectful in my approach or my comments or whatever. That's not the intention. My intention is to be honest, sincere towards you, the guys that actually spend, the guys and girls that actually spend time to listen to me ramble and talk and so on and so forth. And that's, I think, is my obligation, is to be honest and sincere with you, because without you, it'd be really no point in me being here. So that's the one aspect. On the other aspect, some of you that have been following me for a while know that I've got nothing particularly against any company, let alone KZ. What I do, or what I have in the past mentioned about them, is that I was disappointed with their posture with regards to certain aspects that happened a couple of months ago with some of their models. But the reality is this, okay, and let's be frank and not beat around the bush. They're not the only ones, okay? Many other companies have their mess-ups here and there, and some of them know how to handle it better, others do not know how to handle it better, and perhaps the way that KZ conducted itself wasn't the ideal. But anyway, that's in the past. And the truth is, in the last couple of months, they've really made a massive improvement with regards to their single DD IEMs, and you've seen some really nice models, the EDA series, the EDA balance, or the high resolution, especially the CRA Plus, again, a nice IEM, the EDX Ultra, again, a nice IEM, the ZES, the ESX was actually the better one. The ZES was not, let's say, the more successful version, but the ESX was a nice IEM, and now recently the Lyra. All of them single DDs with slight differences in their tuning with regards to what they were trying to emphasize more: vocals, highs, low end, whatever. But overall, nicely built, nicely sounding. That's it, bang for the buck. Finally, we get a BA, an all BA set from them. We had already received one earlier this year, the CCA-CA10, which personally I actually liked. And with a very, very simple mod, it actually didn't sound bad. I mean, I personally didn't have anything against it for what it was and for it cost. And with the simple addition of a 10-string filter on the nozzle, it changed it. It tamed that excessive energy that it had there at around the 4.5 to 6.5K area, brought it down slightly, and it made it acceptable to listen to. Not the ultimate in terms of being faithful to reproduction and so forth, but the fun IEM, great fun. I liked it, and that's it. Again, there are many other reputable companies where you pay way more money than what you paid for the CA10, which make the same kind of tuning, and apparently people don't seem to remember that. But anyway, enter the AS16. And the AS16, well, Pro, sorry. I'll actually call it the 16 Pro from now on. Enter the 16 Pro. And when it was launched with, the graph started coming out of what it sounded like and so on and so forth. And immediately that was where, let's say, all hell broke loose, because the graph that KZ my apologies. Anyway, because the graph that KZ presented and the graph that was presented by the people that were starting to review it was quite different. Anyway, and where was the difference? The difference was in this area that we see here precisely. The 1K. So the pinna gain, instead of starting at 1K and then going up, like you see in the red line, it started way before, at like 600 hertz, peaked at 1K, and then it had this kind of, it just wasn't the ideal, let's put it that way. The explanation that KZ then brought out through one of its representatives was that it was down to the impedance of the rig that was being used, and that impedance caused then that peak to show, while their graph didn't have that peak. Their graph looked more like the red one that you see here. These graphs belong to that 16 Pro over there, which is my one, okay, just so that we get that clear. One is obviously the stock one, the blue one, and the other one is using an impedance adapter, and in this case I actually used a 30 ohm impedance adapter. Okay, I tried a few others. I tried the 18 ohm, which I also have. I tried 75. I tried even a 150, and the one that overall gave me the more pleasant sound was the 30 ohm impedance adapter. Now here now starts I think part of the controversy that has been starting to come up between some of the people that have reviewed it and what they've said, and a few others. I'll be very honest, very honest. In stock format, so without the impedance adapter, this is not, I'm not going to say it's not a nice IEM to, it's just a strange IEM to listen to. It doesn't, if you are used to, obviously if you have a trained ear and you start being used to looking for certain particular ways of doing things and so on and so forth, no, in stock format it's not that. It's the mids just sound off, the vocals sound off, instruments are not reproduced in the way they should be reproduced. It just sounds wrong, period. It's as simple as that. And it's not the only example of something sounding wrong. I mean, I'll show you a graph of another IM now in a second, which, I mean, when I got it, I was expecting big things, and when I heard it, I was like, oh my god, what is this? And I've seen some reviewers talk about it, and I question myself, is there something maybe perhaps wrong with their ears? Because I mean, I cannot believe that those reviewers that have reviewed other stuff and that I agreed with what they said about it would now be saying that that particular IM, the MD4, I'm sure some of you might know what I'm talking about, it sounds good. It doesn't sound good. Well, at least my particular unit, no, forget it. Actually, you know what? I'll show you the graph so that we get that out of the way. I would like someone to please explain to me where that can be considered a graph of an IEM which will play well. If somebody can be kind enough to explain that to me, then I'll accept his explanation, because that in no way is a graph that can be called anything. Okay, because if people are saying that is bad, the blue line, okay, if that is bad because it's got this early gain, yeah, blah blah blah, then what is this? Can somebody please explain to me? Anyway, as I was saying, back to the 16 Pro. So a lot of talk has been going on that well, it's simple. With regards to the position of KZ and the explanation that they gave, yes, maybe they will be inducing people in error, because in stock format it doesn't sound good. It does not sound good. It sounds weird. It sounds strange. It sounds off. That's as simple as that. You put the 30 ohm impedance adapter on it, and my friends, let me tell you something. It sounds very decent. Very decent. I took the time to actually compare it to one of the market favorites, okay, the Mele, the Treble Mele. I took time to compare it to what I believe is the go-to OBA set up to $200, which is one of the go-to, but the AudioSense DT300, and I even compared it to the Neon Pro, the Audio Neon Pro, to better position and to better kind of explain what this sounds like. And I can tell you that I was surprised. I was truly surprised. I was not expecting what I was hearing and how it compared. For example, I'll give you this first example here. This is compared to the Mele, and this is actually this particular Mele here, which is, I've got all three colors, mind you. This one, the one with the blue flex plate, this is the best sounding Mele that I have, without a shadow of a doubt. And I can show you, or I can tell you why I mean that, because it's got way more extension than what the other ones that I have do. The other ones, they don't have this little bit of extension yet, they just drop off straight away, and this one has. I'm using SpinFit 145s on it, so it's the red line, and as you can see, I mean, graphically, it is exactly the same up to 2K as the 16 Pro, exactly the same. It's just then the way it handles the 2 to 10K that is different. One is more plateaued, more more linear, let's say, the Mele. The other one's got these ups and downs and so on and so forth. Having said that, there's more treble, there's more energy on the 16 Pro than there is on the Mele, and it is noticeable. You hear it and it's noticeable. And the funny thing is, although we're talking about an all BA set, and all BA sets have got their particulars, one of their particulars is being by nature highly sensitive, so which means that they will play very loud with very little power. It all comes down to finding this balance of it playing loud enough, okay, but then also not allowing it to be prone to too much of the BA timbre that people talk about. And this BA timbre is this metallicness that it sounds like, okay? And those of you that might not know what I'm talking about, it's very simple. When you listen to a really good BA set, like a Softiers RSV or a Duno SA6 or an Awur Audio Neon Pro or many other sets, Moondrop S8, when you listen to those sets, and some more, some less, you notice that the sound, the timbre, the tonality that the set puts forward is definitely not that usual BA timbre associated with the cheaper stuff and with the more unwell-tuned stuff, let's put it that way. And surprisingly, for a $60 set, yes, there is some BA timbre, yes, it's there. But surprisingly, it's not as bad as you would think. And I think that this is down to the fact that KZ was actually able to find somehow a decent compromise. And the fact that it's using the impedance adapter also again changes the whole electrical characteristics of the package of the various drivers and the crossover network inside and so on and so forth. And the truth is, it's actually got a very decent timbre, a very decent tonality for what it is. It does. I mean, if I take this and I compare it, to example, to a BA15 from TRN or the X7 from TRN, it's day and night. There's no comparison possible, none whatsoever. Even the previous model, the AS16, that was way too bass heavy. I mean, it was good if you were a bass head and you enjoyed bass and you that, but it was just no, and it sounded like a BA. Although it had monster bass, it sounded like BA bass. This. It's been more subdued, it's more relaxed, it's more, and everything's just been done in a more coherent manner. Was it done on purpose, or was it down to the fact that the impedance adapter allowed then, like I said just a few minutes ago, for the electrical aspects of things to come together nicely? I really can't say, but what I do know is what my ears hear is that it's a very pleasant sound. Like when I compare it to the Mele, it's got more detail. That's what BAs are known for. BAs are known for being very, having good resolution and detailed retrieval and all those, like I call the twinklies and the sparklies, to all be present there. While DDs, for example, are known for having a more kind of warm signature, a more lush signature. They have this kind of like old school vinyl feel to them, while the BAs are more modern kind of and a digital sound. Let's put it that way, if that will help explain better what I'm trying to put forward. So when I compare it to the Mele, for example, honestly, with my music library and with what I listen to, I was actually surprised at how well it held its own. Plenty of songs it maintained the bass on the level of the Mele in terms of its tonality and timbre. Definitely, I mean, no, absolutely no doubts about it. I mean, for example, Let Go from Galimatias. Yes, the Mele has got slightly more full fullness to the bass. But the 16 Pro did a good job of reproducing it. I was more than satisfied. There was nothing there that I was saying, oh well, no, I didn't do it properly. It doesn't sound really like, no, wrong. It sounded good. Sister from Rochelle Farrell, again the same thing. Yes, the way the drum is hitting on the Mele is a little bit more lush, a little bit more full, but on the 16 Pro it was fine. It was fine. Please don't forget, this is a 8BA set where usually you are paying upwards of $250 or something of that many, and it doesn't sound bad. So what if it needs the impedance adapter? Yes, KZ should tell people that to use the adapter. KZ should even go further and maybe even provide that impedance adapter. I'm not going to say no, but it sounds good. And ultimately, it will all depend on the final person that buys it. He might actually like it without this impedance adapter and think it's the best thing in the world. For myself and for many others which have got a more trained ear, we know it doesn't sound proper without the impedance adapter. And with the impedance adapter, yes, it allows it to shine. Elephant from Carol Duboc, again, another song that I usually use quite often in my testing. It sounded fine, absolutely fine, compared to the DT300, for example. Again, it held its own pretty decently. We're talking about $180 here. We're talking $60, like I just said. And you know what? Yes, it might not have the ultimate, and the DT300 again. Let me say something here. The DT300 plays well with also an adapter. Okay. Also an impedance adapter, because if you take the DT300 in stock format and you don't have the impedance adapter, you know what, you're going to be disappointed with the sound. You are. Okay, you are. However, you put in an impedance adapter and it focuses very much on the sub bass. It's got a nice way of transitioning from the sub bass into the mid bass and then into the mids. Plenty of detail in the mids, plenty of sparklies and twinklies up top, so very nice treble extension. And it's fantastic. It's good. It is really good. I would take this over a stock C Audio Bravery, for example. I would take this over a GS Audio SD4. I would take this over a lot of IEMs that are priced around the $200 mark and even above that, which are all BA sets. It is. That's the reality. It is a good sounding set. Okay. The 16 Pro was able to do a lot of things well and kept up with the DT300 many times. In many of these songs, it was keeping up. I was surprised because the way that the upper mids and let me just show you here the graph so I can explain better. There we go. The way that it handles this whole area here after its initial pinna gain, which peaks at around 3K, the way it then does all that area there between the 3 and then the 8, 9K peak, which is coupler related as well. Although it's slightly subdued, it's in a downward slope, okay? And if there's one thing that it's got good going for it, it's non-fatiguing. If you look there, the 5K is actually although it peaks at 5K, it's down as compared to the rest around it. So there's no real harsh sibilance. There's nothing. It does it very nicely. It's very unfatiguing. It's one of those IEMs that you will put on your ears and you can listen to it for hours and hours and hours. That is the truth. So as I was saying, compared to the DT300, it held its own very nicely. I was actually very surprised. So I said to myself, you know what, let me take out something really serious. And those that have been following me and know, the Neon Pro is one of the best all-BA sets that I own, and that I've listened to. And like I said, I love the RSV, the Softiers RSV. I really am fond of the Duno SA6, the DT600, the T800. I've got a few nice sets, you know. Okay, fine, it's no an Oli VX, it's no U64, fine, it's not a mega buck set, but this for $600, trust me when I say that it will surprise you because it plays well. It plays really, really well. There's a nice tonality to the Neon Pro. It just sounds good. I mean, graphically, it actually is very similar to the Yannian Moonlight. And again, those that follow me know that I love the Yannian Moonlight. Well, there's even a collaboration going on between a very reputable reviewer, HBB, and Yannian, with the Moonlight being the center of that collaboration. So the IM is good. If the IM wasn't good, it wouldn't be the one being used for this collaboration. So Yannian Moonlight has a reputation of its own. This plays very similar to the Yannian Moonlight. It does, and it's just a pity that people don't want to try it out, because if they tried it out, they would see that I'm not lying. They would see that, hey, actually Acros it was right. It does play good. It does. Again, all of this ends up being very relative, because my ears are my ears, your ears are yours, and this is a very subjective hobby. This is not like a 100-meter race where you came first and you're the best, period, that's it. No. There is no, this is good, that is bad. It's what is good and bad for you as an individual, for what you like to listen to, and then ultimately, if you want to get into it, how your ears and so on and so forth. I mean, you can have the most amazing ears in the world and so on and so forth when it comes to listening. But if there's an IM that you just don't be able to fit into your ears, then, you know, that IM is garbage. I'll give you an example. Tanstrom Oxygen. For some, like myself, an absolute beast of an IM. For others, total garbage, because they cannot get it to fit properly, and by not getting it to fit properly, they cannot really understand what the magic of the Tanstrom Oxygen is all about. Anyway, to sum this up, because this is being a really long review, the AS16PRO, in my opinion, is very decent IM from KZ. In stock format, I would say no, forget it. Nevertheless, try it. For you to get it to shine, definitely the impedance adapter is a must. Bass, it's nice, it's controlled, it's got that nice quickness and decay that is associated with BAs. You know, very fast bass, nice texture. It handles most things that I listen to without any real problems or anything, even complex tracks and everything. It did it quite well. The transition into the mid bass, a little bit of a bleed, but nothing, you know, mid bass, sorry, the transition to the mids, a little bit of a bleed, but nothing too outrageous. And then again, the mids, beautifully, you know, laid back mids, not too forward. Vocals come across nicely. They don't really, it's non-fatiguing. It's got decent enough extension again. I think with the impedance adapter, the main thing here is that it's very unfatiguing IM to listen to. With regards to its technicalities, I mean, decent soundstage, wide enough. The height and the depth wasn't too bad. Imaging was actually pretty decent. Detailed retrieval was acceptable. Could be a little bit better. I mean, again, we're talking, like I said, $60. So let's always keep that as a context. So pretty decent detailed retrieval. And the thing that actually surprised me and was the thing that I actually was very pleased about was, in terms of its tonality and timbre, it's very, very much uncheap BA style. Let's put it that way, okay? It's got a nice tonality for what it is. It's got a nice timbre. Instruments, for the most, sound very realistic, very real. It sounds just very correct, in my opinion, and with what I listen to, obviously. I would say that the, you know, new wave jazz, some just purely musical instrumental stuff is probably the better option in terms of what this will play well. In terms of rock, I'm not a big rock listener, but one or two tracks that I did listen to, it just got a little bit too, let's say, too busy for my particular liking. But then again, this could be just the fact that it is the music that it is, and it's not exactly my cup of tea. With EDM, it was again good fun. It was lively. And then with some pop of the 80s and so on and so forth, it was a mixed bag. There was some stuff that it actually did quite well, other stuff not so well. So, to wrap it up, take those things into consideration. It is an IM that definitely needs an impedance adapter to shine. It is an IM that you will have to play around with the tips again to be able to make this combination really work nicely. And then in terms of its musical genres, I would say that new wave jazz, some instrumental stuff, and some EDM is probably the one best, the genres that best suit the 16 Pro. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. As always, please like and subscribe. If there's anything that you want me to talk about or compare or so on and so forth, please feel free to do it. And yeah, that's it. I've got the 7Hz 0 already with me, doing some listening. We'll be comparing it to the Moondrop True. We'll be comparing it to the Treble and Leia and to the Xiaomi Li from Tangzhou, to kind of get it well positioned so that people can get an idea of what it's like. However, having said that and not wanting to say too much, I can tell you one thing: very nice IM. It sounds really, really good, really good. I was quite surprised. Anyway, guys, you take care of yourselves. Bye bye.